4 tonight, so let's see how they got here. Ja left the fourth quarter of Game 1 after hurting his wrist. The Lakers went on to win the game by 16, and then it was Game 2. Grizz got payback without Ja. They won by 10 after the game. Dylan Brooks said he wasn't worried about LeBron because LeBron is old. In Game 3, AD and LeBron combined for 56, 31 from AD. They do the math, at least 25 for LeBron. Lakers won by 10 in spite of 45 from Ja. I think he's still scoring in that game. Joined now by the Tims, NBA writer Tim Bontemps and analyst Tim Legler. Guys, AD, right? As AD goes, so goes the Lakers. When he is aggressive, the Lakers win. When he is passive, they don't. What do you expect in Game 4?
I have no idea. Tell me what Anthony Davis is going to do, and I'll tell you how the series is going to go. I mean, we've talked about this. All three of us have talked about this since before the series started. If Anthony Davis is the best player on the court, the Lakers are going to win those games, almost certainly. If he's not, like he was in Game 2, things are a much different story. Like that, it's really, sometimes these series are kind of simple. This one really just comes down to Anthony Davis. If he is the dominant force on the court, Lakers should win.
What about the role players like Hachimura, who you were like, he's not going to hit every shot? He wasn't what he was in Game 1, but he was like, well, look, if he can be that.
I mean, Rui Hachimura averaging over 20 points a game in the series, I don't expect to continue. At some point, I think that will stop. But ultimately, this really just comes down to AD. If AD is great, the Lakers should win.
Well, thank God it doesn't come down to Hachimura because it's more fun to talk about AD.
I mean,
Legs, what are you looking for tonight?
Yeah, listen, we said it. I'd like to be at the pregame meal, right? Just kind of watching AD, his drive to the arena, just trying to get a vibe for like what his state of mind is. Because if he comes in there with an aggressive state of mind, like he comes in there to do damage, they don't have an answer for him. Most teams don't have an answer for Anthony Davis because he can shoot over the top from 12 to 18 feet. Even Jaren Jackson Jr., as great as he is, can't answer that. So if Anthony Davis is imposing his physical skill set on them, the Lakers are going to win this series. But again, it's not every night, so we have to wait and see. As far as Hachimura goes, I agree. I mean, that's been the biggest X factor you could ever imagine coming in. Like, imagine right now on a piece of paper, by the way, you're going to get 20 points a game out of Hachimura in this series. Yeah, I think Darvin Ham would sign up for that. Can he continue to do it? He looks pretty comfortable.
But if he can't, maybe Austin Reeves does it. You know, they have some guys who can play. How live are they in the Western Conference?
They
win the series?
They're legitimate. You can't say they're not a threat, because if you say that, you're dismissing their chances altogether. Look at the rest of the West right now. Right? So, and you got to ask yourself, do you think they'd have a chance against a Warriors team or a Kings team in the next round? Would they have a chance against Denver or Phoenix? Of course they would, because of the physical talent at the very top of their roster.
Not from the look on his face. Look at that face. What a sour look you were giving Legler just then, as he was just calmly expressing his thoughts, which seemed very rational to me.
Those thoughts are rational. There's a difference between a chance and would you pick them to win the West?
Of course. That's what I'm saying. I'm not laying money on it either.
No, I know you're not. But to me, if they go into the series against the Kings or the Warriors, based off how the Kings have played, we'll get to them in a bit, I would say the Lakers are probably a slight underdog in that series. If they play Denver or Phoenix in the conference finals and they get through that series, I think they're a slight underdog in that series. So if you tell me, do I think they're going to get out of the West?
This is a change from you.
Well, no.
Wait, Bontemps. I was saying to start these playoffs, what is new and interesting about the Western Conference this season is that I think legitimately there were 7 teams where you said you couldn't rule out 7 of the 8 T-Wolves, but 7 of the 8 and you were saying no. Yes, you were saying no. We have tape.
What I was saying was the Lakers are going to be underdogs in every series they play. Yes. So am I going to pick them to win the West? No. Could they win the West? Sure, if things break right. Now, again, they're playing a team in Memphis that doesn't have Steven Adams, that doesn't have Brandon Clark, that is, had Dylan Brooks out for part of Game 3, had Ja Morant out for part of Game 2. Let's see what they look like when they go up against full-strength teams down the road. But they they have a puncher's chance of getting through.
Okay, I think that's fine. But even if you think a team is 60-40 to win 3 series in a row, 60-40 twice, you're under 50% to advance, right? So usually there's 1 or 2 teams you might take against the field in the conference, right? 1 team in the conference.
That's right.
But would you agree they are a serious threat, therefore, even if they're slight underdogs in a couple series, even a slight overdog.
I mean, if they win the series, they're one of 4 options if they win the series, right? So at some point, they're a serious threat. On the other hand, I would say they're probably the 4th pick of the 4 teams for me to win 2 rounds. So what are you going to do?
I always look it up by number of games, and if you're saying there could be 6-game series, then you're saying they're in the series. I mean, then you're talking about a handful of plays could turn it, and I think they'd probably be 6 games
Good
at least.
Tim, bad Tim. Let's stay in the West, where the Warriors survived a scare in Game 4. Steph pulled a Chris Webber, called a timeout late in the game without having any left to take.
That was wild to see in real time.
Fortunately for the champs, Harrison Barnes missed a potential game winner at the buzzer, and Golden State tied up the series. Guys, that was wild late. And, it's funny. You look at I look at Draymond Green. And when he got himself ejected and suspended, I didn't agree with the suspension. Nevertheless, I was thinking, this series is over, man. This is going to be a tight game at home.
Yes, you declared the series is over multiple times.
Yeah, right. Warriors really need this guy, his defense. Look what happened to the Kings' offense when he went out of the game. So I'm looking at Game 3, and as Jay Will said on KJM, no, actually, Game 3 is a must-win for Sacramento. They must take advantage. But then you look at Game 4, and that came down to maybe Draymond Green's defense again, right? They got the ball out of the hands, as Jay points out this morning, out of the hands of De'Aaron Fox, who is killing you, who just hit the 3 to get him within a point. And they could live with Harrison Barnes hitting that shot, and he didn't. Who has the advantage now?
Well, look, I think Golden State has the advantage because I thought if they won Game 3, they were going to win the next 3 games to win the series. But you mentioned Draymond's defense, and Legs breaks down stuff as good as anybody. When you look at the end of that final possession of Game 4, we've seen all year, what does De'Aaron Fox want to get to? He wants to get to that left elbow, right? And Draymond Green went to that left elbow, planted himself there, and he said, De'Aaron Fox is not going to shoot this shot that he wants to shoot. And they ended up getting a good look for Harrison Barnes. Not great, but good look. But both Steph and Draymond said after the game, we're going to live with somebody else shooting the ball. We're not going to let De'Aaron Fox shoot the ball. That is why I thought the Warriors were going to find a way to win this series, because they have been here so many times before, and they know how to come up in these moments. But I will say really quick, to me, the biggest thing to come out of this series, Sacramento was legit. We spent all year waiting for Sacramento to fall apart. We spent the month before the playoffs started saying, you want to get Sacramento in the first round. You don't want to play Memphis. You don't want to play Phoenix. You don't want to play Denver. Sacramento wins this series, they got a very good chance to beat the Lakers or beat the Grizzlies.
So they're live in the West,
Absolutely.
Right? Like the Lakers are live.
Well, they are, but if you had said that a month ago, people would have laughed you out of the room. To me, the Kings have proved they're here
because they were 19th in defense. They weren't dead last, but I never got why people were writing them off to the extent that they were. But Legs, it's so the storylines are delicious, right? You have Steph Curry with a brain freeze, and then later Steve Kerr didn't communicate that they did, and Draymond Green, who goes from villain, oh my God, he's going to cost them the series, to he picks Steph up essentially defensively. Who has the momentum now?
Look, I still think the Kings, you would say, maybe are in the driver's seat because they've got 2 out of 3 at home, and the Warriors have been so bad on the road. I think that'd be a fair way to put it. I think the Warriors are going to win this series as well. And the main reason I think they're going to win it, the Kings have not done anything to disrupt Steph Curry. And if you take on the Warriors, you better figure out a way to get physical with him, to hold him, to play on the high side of screens, to make his life miserable or make him work. He is super comfortable. He's got space. He's got rhythm. He's got time. He's not getting hit. He is operating in a place that allows their team to be incredibly confident because Steph's not getting mauled. And Clay's shooting almost 50%. Wiggins is shooting almost 50%. So their top guys are in rhythm, and I think this is going to be ultimately decided by the offense of these 2 high-powered teams. And if Steph Curry is not feeling in any way disrupted, I'm going to bet on Steph Curry.
The other thing, too, is this series shifts back to Sacramento. All the pressure's on the Kings.
You got to defend home.
Now they're going back home for Game 5. They haven't been in this position before. Golden State won these games. They won the game without Draymond. They have all this momentum. They feel like they're back. And by the way, those first 2 games in Sacramento, the Warriors played well. The whole thing for the regular season where they couldn't win games on the road, the Sacramento won those games. It's not like Golden State was a disaster. So I think they're going to go in there and play well in Game 5. And the Kings, it's a huge moment for them.
So let's talk. Let's just say they defend home, right? Mm-hmm. Sacramento wins, Golden State wins. I feel like Golden State has the advantage in a Game 7. I think that's what it comes down to.
I mean, who's picking against Steph Curry in a Game 7?
First of all, it's on the road, Kai. It's not that much on the road. It's not like you're going across country. You're right there. And then in Game 7, the last dance, maybe? These guys are going to lose to Sacramento? It doesn't feel like it.
Keep it to a one-possession game. That's what I'm telling Steve Kerr. If you're in a one-possession game, even game 5, right, and you're coming out of that 7-minute timeout, and it's a 2-point game, man, it's amazing how those elbows just don't quite feel the same with the pressure of the home crowd, knowing that you could go get closed out on the road if you don't win this game. But even if they get to a 7, you're going to feel the same thing. If it's close in the 4th, you're going to bet against a team that has seen every imaginable scenario.
We haven't had the Klay Thompson game yet either. Like, I'm just pointing that out.
I mean, this has just been an unbelievable series. It's been so much fun to watch.
So much fun. This just in the 7th round in a matchup of undefeated stars. Tank Davis stopped